Hey class. So today our notes are Unit 2 notes, relationships among quantities. We're going to deal with multi-step equations with combining like terms. So for something to be a like term, it has to have the same variable, same letter, and the same exponent, okay? So let's get started on this, and I'm going to show you how I do it. All right, so I always start with the first term, and I've got a negative 5n. I'm going to put one line underneath that. Now I'm going to look through here and I'm going to see, do I see any other terms that have an n and the n is raised to the first power, because right there's really a 1 right there. Well, I see a positive 6n, and that sign is important. I see a negative 3n, okay? So those are my three like terms with the n's, right? I've got n to the first, n to the first, n to the first. So now in your calculator, you can just punch in negative 5 plus positive plus 6, because that's a positive 6, and then negative 3. And then when you get that, you should end up with 1 minus 3, which is negative 2. But now don't forget, we got to put that n back in there. Okay, so all you do is find your like terms and then combine the numbers in front of it, which were negative 5, 6, and negative 3. That gave me negative 2, and then don't forget to write your n back into it. Okay, next I've got a constant, right? A number without a variable, but I don't have any others on that side of the equal sign, so that's just going to be plus 15, and that's going to equal to whatever is over there. So now we have a two-step problem, two-step equation. We're going to try to get n by itself. I'm going to start with the constant though, and in this case the constant is plus 15. So to get rid of that, I need to do the inverse of plus 15, which is negative 15. So that gives me negative 2n equals a negative plus, or a negative 3 minus 15 gives me a negative 18. Punch that in your calculator though, exactly how you see it. Negative 3 minus 15. Next, I need to figure out what's going on between that negative 2 and that n. Well, it's multiplication. So I'm going to divide by negative 2. And that's going to give me, I'm going to write the answer up here. That's going to give me n equals, in your calculator, create a fraction, negative 18 on top, negative 2 on the bottom, hit enter, and you'll get positive 9. All right, so let's do the next one. So again, I'm looking, my first term has an x. We'll put one line under it. So now I'm looking for all the terms over here that have an x. Well, there's only one more right there. And then that's it. And they're both raised to the first power. So I've got a 3 plus 12. So in your calculator, do 3 plus 12. That's going to give you 15. Don't forget we were dealing with x, so I got to put that x there. I've got a negative 20. I'm going to put 2 lines under there. If I found another constant on this side, I'd put 2 lines under that also. But I don't have any other constants over here, so I'm just going to bring that minus 20 down. That's going to equal 25. Trying to get x by itself. I've got a minus 20 I'm going to have to deal with, and I've got a 15 I've got to deal with. So it's going to take me 2 steps to do that. I need to get rid of that minus 20. The inverse of minus 20 is add 20. That leaves me a 15x. Remember, those go away just like they went away over there. 25 plus 20 in your calculator will give you 45. This is 15 times x. The inverse is divide by 15. And that's going to give me x equals 45 over 15 in your calculator. Hit enter. It's going to give you x equals 3. So we're good there. Part C. I've got an x to the first power. I've got another x to the first power. And then I've got this constant, but I don't have any other constants on that side. So the only like terms I have are the negative 2x plus 4x. So in your calculator, do negative 2 plus 4. Negative 2 plus 4 is going to give you 2. Don't forget we're dealing with x's, so I've got to bring that x down. Minus 12 equals 40. Trying to get x by itself. So I've got 2 things I've got to deal with. Always start with the constant. The opposite of minus 12, or the inverse, is plus 12. That's going to give me 2x equals 52. This says 2 times x, inverse is divide by 2. Those cancel. 52 divided by 2 is 27. I should have brought my calculator, but I'm doing that in my head. Okay, so once we combine like terms, all 3 of these equations looked almost identical, or at least we had 2 steps to get rid of it. Okay, so now let's talk about multi-step equations with the distributive property. Well, remember, the distributive property just means multiplication. All right, we know we're going to do the distributive property because we have parentheses with a number out front, parentheses with a number out front, parentheses with a number out front. All right, so we're going to take this 2 that's out front and we're going to distribute. We're going to multiply it by everything inside those parentheses. So I need to do 2 times n, which gives me 2n. I need to do 2 times 5, which gives me a positive 10. And then that equals negative 2. So now it looks like these problems up here. After I combine like terms, we've got another 2-step problem. I'm going to deal with that plus 10. I'm going to deal with that 2. We're going to do that by subtracting 10. Remember, always start with the constant. Every time. Negative 2 minus 10. In your calculator, do negative 2 minus 10. That's going to give you negative 12. Dividing by the number in front of the variable. N equals negative 6. So it looked different to begin with, ended up looking like this step here in the previous problems. All right, so let's do this one. I got a 4 out front. I need to multiply it times 2x, and then I need to multiply it by negative 7. So I can multiply things that aren't like terms. Remember up here, to combine them, to add or subtract them, they have to be like terms. But to multiply, it doesn't have to be. I can do 4 times 2x. So if I've got 2x's and I multiply that by 4, I have 8x's. 4 times negative 7 gives me negative 28. Plus 5 equals negative 39. So this looks a little different than here. Well, it's because I still have like terms over here. I've got a negative, I don't have any more x's, so I'm not dealing with that. And here's why I put 2 lines under the constant, or whatever term I'm looking at next. Because now I've got another constant here and I'm going to put 2 lines here. So they both have 2 lines under them. So that tells me that's what I'm combining. I'll bring my 8x down. In your calculator, do negative 28 plus 5, and that's going to give you negative 23, and that's going to equal negative 39. Now I need to add 23. So look, so now it looks like this step here, looks like these steps here. It's a 2-step equation. I'm getting x by itself. Oops, sorry about that. These cancel, plus 23, that gives me 8x. In your calculator, negative 39 plus 23, and I think that's going to be a negative 16. I'm going to divide by 8. Divide by 8. X is going to equal, in your calculator, create a fraction. Don't do division on these, create a fraction. Negative 16 over 8, hit enter, and it's going to give you negative 2. We'll talk in class why I think it's important to just create a fraction. All right, part C. Now part C is trying to trick you. I've got a number in front of these parentheses. That number is a negative 1. All right, so this 6x is not what's in front of those parentheses. Negative 1 is what's touching the parentheses. So the 6x is just going to come down, and then I'm going to distribute negative 1 throughout. Negative 1 times 3x is minus 3x. Negative 1 times 8 is negative 8 equals 16. So now I'm going to combine like terms. I see an x, I see another x, and then I see this constant, but that's the only constant over there, so I'm not going to have any like terms with that negative 8. So 6 minus 3, remember we're going to do just the number. 6 minus 3 is 3, but then don't forget your x, minus 8 equals 16. And look at this. It's another two-step equation now. We had to get to it, but now it's a two-step equation. Need to get rid of the constant, add an 8. 3x equals 24. Get rid of the number in front of the x. X equals 8. Remember, in your calculator, create a fraction. Hit enter, because it looks like a fraction, so make it a fraction. All right? All right, so now we're doing multi-step equations with variables on both sides. So all of these so far, all the variables were on the same side. On this one, the variables are on both sides of the equal sign, okay? I like moving my variables to the left, so that's what we're gonna do. All right, so the first thing I need to do is I need to move a positive 8p to this side. I want all my variables on the left-hand side. Well, to do that, it's a positive 8p, so to move it over, I'm going to do a minus 8p. So these 8p's cancel. So in your calculator, I'm only worried about the first term here. 5 minus 8 is negative 3, and then the p comes down. So basically, we just combine these like terms over here once I move the minus 8p over there. Then everything else stays exactly how I see it. And look what I have here. Trying to get p by itself, it's going to take me 2 steps because I've got a negative 14 and this negative 3 I'm going to deal with. Start with the constant. Opposite of minus 14 is plus 14. I've got negative 3p equals 18. Divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. P equals, remember, fraction in your calculator. Hit enter. It's going to give you negative 6. All right, so now let's do the next one. Set up kind of the same way. Variable over here, variable over here. I'm going to move that negative 4x to the other side. When I do, it's going to switch signs. That's going to give me 12x. 8 plus 4 is 12. Minus 1 equals 23 is the only thing left over there. And we're back to a two-step equation like we were doing before. Minus 1. I'm going to add 1 to get rid of it. 12 times x. I'm going to divide by 12. X equals 2. Bada bing, bada boom. All right? See, they're going to try to trick you. Math never ends, right? Once we figure out how to do one type of problem, they're going to add something to it. Well, here it is. But you've already done what we need to do here. We're going to use this distributive property with that negative 2 right there, and we're going to distribute. That's the first thing we're going to do. So that gives me 5x plus 34. That side doesn't change. Negative 2 times 1 gives me negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 7 gives me a positive 14, and then don't forget that x. So now it looks like these two over here. I need to get my x's on the same side. So I'm going to move that x over by subtracting 14x. That makes those two go away. In your calculator, just punch in 5 minus 14, and that should give you negative 9x plus 34 equals negative 2. Need to move this 34 over by subtracting 34. Negative 9x equals negative 36. So in your calculator, you would do negative 2 minus 34. Divide by negative 9. And that gives me x equals a negative divided by a negative. But again, just punch that in as a fraction. Gives you positive 4. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about inequalities. We talked about this in class, or at least these two already. Remember, this looks like a squinched up L, so this reads A is less, starts with an L, squinched up L. A is less than B. A is greater than B. Little line underneath it means or equal to. So this one is A is less than or equal to B. This one is A is greater than or equal to B. And then this one is A is not equal to B. I'm going to stop this one right here, and then I'll post another video for the back side or the next sheet.